Hmm? 75? Oh, I like that. Anybody else? Let me hear it.
28.
78?
28.
40. 40? 38? 38. Boom. 38% of vocal, what is heard. Now this is based on psychological studies and research that have been done over and over and over again. This particular study was done a while ago. Whenever studies are redone, the research proves that over 90% of your communication is nonverbal. So that's vocal. So what about visual? I'm skipping verbal right now. Visual, what is seen? How many people? What do you have? Let me see. 90. I'm sorry? 75.
Yeah,
62. Anybody else? 65? Close.
62.
Yes. Who said 55? 55% is visual. That's visual. So of course, anybody who knows math, the third one is verbal. 7%. Now what that means is 7%, everybody's worried about pitching themselves. How am I going to best sell my product? That is, I'm not saying that that's not important, and I work a lot on one-on-one coaching with particular wording, particular delivery, particular analogies and examples that you need, and that's all verbal. However, if your verbal is not consistent with your visual and your vocal, people will believe what they see and hear before they believe what you say. Now that is a proven fact over and over again. You can say anything. They will believe what they see and hear first, okay? And that brings me to my favorite quote. We'll go back to the rest of the quiz. What you do speaks so loud, I cannot hear what you say. So all of the people who really just focus on what it is that I'm selling and not on how it is that I'm selling, sometimes the person who is listening can't even hear you because there is so much in the way distracting them that they can't hear what you have to say. You know, and it's really important. If you have a product that you're passionate about, you need to be consistent with it or else it's going to get lost in the shuffle. Okay, now we're going to go back. Oh, how many visits it takes to make a first impression? I mean, how many seconds? 2. 2 seconds, yes. Used to be 3. I think we're getting a shorter attention span, so now it's 2. How many visits can it take to undo a negative first impression? What are some numbers you got? 15? 12. 12 it is. It can take up to 12 visits to undo a negative first impression. How many of you give people 12 times? How many things do you go back to 12 times if you've had a bad experience? 0. So you want to impress them first. Of course it can be done. It can be done in 3, it can be undone in 3 seconds. But why take that chance? You need to impress them within the first 2 seconds. Percentage of information people with unfolded arms retain versus people with folded arms. This is a very interesting study. People were presenting a presentation, and they had the students listen with their arms folded once, and the other group listen without their arms folded. The retention of information was so much greater with your arms unfolded. Not only that, but your opinion was more positive when your arms were unfolded. So no matter what their thoughts. So what are the numbers there that you think?
90.
62. 62% increase. Yeah, it's up there. So, and here's a little tip. If you're presenting or you're giving something to somebody and their arms are folded, sometimes it's cold, sometimes you can't read everything, you have to read the whole picture. But if they're like this, don't continue selling because you're not getting anywhere. And they're creating more and more negativity. What do? You just shut up and walk away? No. There are ways that you can then try to get them to unfold their arms. So I'm talking to you, we're on a one-on-one, and all of a sudden your arms go like this. I have some really interesting information, but I don't want to proceed. I might say, could you look at number 7 and check that? Okay, she's going to open her arms to look at it. Or I'm going to say, oh, would you like a glass of water? She's going to have to take that glass of water or a mint. Therefore, just physically, the act of physically opening up your arms, they are opening up their minds a little bit more. So that's a trick that you want to do. Percentage increase in retention of presenting with visual aids versus just verbal. Any guesses there?
40.
Yay! Yay! 40. Increase. People will retain 40% more when they have a visual aid attached to it. And just verbal, it goes. Now the trick is if you have no visual, if you catch somebody in the elevator, oh, I don't have any visual, what am I going to do? One of the things I'm going to be teaching later on and letting you know is that you want to be visual with your language then. Make people visualize in their heads as you're talking. That's why I'm a huge fan of analogies, huge fan of using descriptions that involve something that the person can then picture themselves in. And oh, I can see myself there. I can picture that. If they can start thinking in pictures, that will take care of that visual component. Percentage of, this is a fun one. Percentage of presentation people will forget in 1 week.
70? 90.
Yeah, 90%. 90%. In 1 hour, they've already forgotten 40%. In a day, they've forgotten 60%. All right, so it's like, do we just don't talk? No. One of the things that the one way to combat that or to prepare for that is to know your bottom line, know what the one thing that you want them to remember. What's the one thing you want them to take away from this conversation? Then with that one thing, you repeat it at least 3 times. Now you don't want to repeat it word for word. You want to find out ways to, this is my bottom line, I'm going to repeat it at the top, I'm going to repeat it in the middle, I'm going to repeat it at the end. Because that's what I want them to remember. Otherwise they will probably forget it within a second. You'll see that repeatedly. It's like, what? And this is just on a one-on-one conversation. Within like 4 minutes, I have sometimes forgotten what was said like 2 seconds ago. So you really want to get that bottom line and remember it and repeat it. All right, so when we talk about the visual skills being so important, I'm going to just run over those. Everybody knows it's like it's body language, it's everything, it's eye contact. If you'll notice, eye contact is extremely important. However, recently I've been noticing that you can actually overdo eye contact too. Eye contact is a 5 to 10 second increments, then look away. That's it. If you don't look away after 10 seconds, and then back, of course, you don't look away forever, but if you don't look away for 10 seconds, that's what's going to happen is Patty's going to start feeling really weird. You know, she's going to start thinking, what the heck is wrong? I mean, is she crazy? Is she mad at me? Does she want to date me? I don't know. You know, it's like all of those things go through your head when you don't look away. So it's like, and then there's that intensity of what happens if you really just keep eye contact. And the other thing is like, gosh, I just want to go like this, but you're staring at me. You know, it's like you need the moment of looking away, of freedom, and the other person thinking. You can look up, you can look down, you can look sideways, anything that you choose, but you want to look away. Handshakes are really important. A lot of women either are expected to give weak handshakes and then do it, or just haven't learned a strong handshake. There is no distinction between handshakes between men and women. Please, make it strong, make it L to L, make it connect. It should be like this. I've gotten so many handshakes like this. That makes me feel like you don't trust me, that there's something wrong. It's like, yeah. You know, it's like, yeah. I mean, that's almost worse to me than the weak handshake, because it's like, I'm not going to really be intimate with you. You know, so really get in there, join L to L, and give a nice firm shake, 2 or 3 shakes. Posture and movement is extremely important. When I give a stand-up presentation, I try to stand in what's called this ready position. That's my feet hip distance apart, my knees are slightly bent, my weight is slightly forward. I am ready to give you something. I am always ready. This is not being ready. This is not being ready. And even, what's the other thing? And even if you go too small like this, you have no balance here. Okay, and this is the ready position. You can walk from it. And what other happens when you start off like this, where else are you going to go? Like this. And then we get this dancing. I videotape all of my clients, and it's really interesting. It's like they stand up and they do their presentation, and then you've got, and after a while, you can't think of anything, but when is she going to go to the next hit? All right, so all of the information that you're imparting is lost because we're worried about when you're going to go to the next hit. So stand in the ready position, and it makes you solid. I don't know how much time I have, but I'm going to go for it. come here, please. Okay. I'm going to just give you a visual, again, because I said visual is so important. No, you're going to push me. It's an easy job. You're going to push me. So if I stand like this, you're going to push me here. Okay? Okay, I'm going to stand like this, now you're going to push me. Now I'm going to stand in the ready position. Now you're going to push me. That is a clear indication that that's what our, thank you so much. That's what our subconscious mind says as soon as they see you like this. Our conscious mind is not saying, oh, I can stand up there and then push her over. We don't know that in the conscious mind, but in our unconscious, subconscious mind, that's what we're thinking. And that's why it's so essential. Gestures, really gestures. Another thing, retention. People will remember much more what you say when you gesture. So the bottom line is a research fact, gesture, gesture, gesture. You don't want to go overboard, and they have to be natural. Presidents have been coached to gesture, right? And of course, you see that. Well, this is what I think. I mean, that's not a gesture. That is a coaching session. So a gesture is something that comes from your heart, that is natural, that flows from your elbows up. Now, people laugh when I say this, but a lot of people will gesture like this. And people say, oh, no, he doesn't. Every time I teach a class, every time I always have someone who does this. And it's like, you know, gesturing from the wrist down. You want to have your arms up here so that you are free and full and ready to gesture openly from the heart center, all of that stuff. And of course, facial expressions, a smile goes a mile. I'm moving quickly because I was supposed to share this space. Is Moms in the City here in this room? Hi. When do you want to go?
Whenever you want.
Okay. All right. The eyes are the windows of the soul, but the voice is the window of the heart. I heard this once and I love it so much. Your voice says so much. 38% of your message is your voice. Many women have the habit of not finding the power in their voice. And there are exercises. You need to really use the diaphragm. I'm a trained actor. After that high school experience, I went on and on and on. I became a successful actor. I really developed this passion 15 years ago when I started teaching English as a second language, and I realized communication is so much more about English. And that's when I developed all the things that I do now. However, the voice is really incredible. You need to use your diaphragm and not your throat. You need to use your diaphragm, your throat, and your nasal passages so that you have variation in your voice, so it's not just the monotone all the time. And it's not up here all the time, so that you're screeching. Another tips that are driving me crazy is upspeaking. Who knows what upspeaking is? Hi, my name is Robyn Hatcher, and I run a business called SpeakETC, and it's really a really great business. And so everything goes up at the end, and so it sounds so incredibly unconfident and strange, really, because you're asking a question or you're asking permission to go on with your conversation. If you have a statement, make it a statement. Make it go down at the end. Say, yes, my name is Robyn Hatcher. I know that. I'm not asking you whether my name is Robyn Hatcher. I know it. Okay? I know that my company is SpeakETC. I know this. You leave that. And the other thing that we do is because we pitch a lot or we talk about ourselves a lot, there's a tendency that we have now to use this whatever quality. I hear it, it's been consistent. Whatever quality is this. Hi, my name is Robyn Hatcher, and I have a business called SpeakETC, and I really love communication, and and I'm really passionate about communication, and it all sounds whatever, whatever. I'm just talking, whatever. And that's a quality that's twofold problem. We do it sometimes because we feel like we're not supposed to be bragging about ourselves. That is an insult to me. If you're talking about yourself, this is yourself. You are selling yourself, and it is wonderful. Like we heard all through the day, you have something unique. The other insult it is that other person, you're assuming that other person is so lower than you that they're going to be jealous of what you're talking about. It's like, oh, I can't talk to you about that because I know you won't understand. And that's the feeling that it gets. And I know that's not why we do it, but that can be the feeling because the voice is so important. So when you have something to say it strong. Vocal skills, I'm not going to go into vocal skills. What you'll see back there and up here, and if you drop your business card in that little silver bag, someone will win one of my vocal workout CDs. My CD goes through all the breathing exercises, all the articulation exercises, and some intonation exercises. It's a half-hour CD. It's $10. It really, if you do those exercises faithfully, you can change your voice. Another thing, not only was I shy, it sounds like my family sounds like they're crazy after when I finish the story, but they used to make fun of my voice because I had a high-pitched voice. They used to call me Chinese voice. Very politically correct. So when I went to college, I had to have 4 days a week of vocal production, and I changed my voice. Those are the exercises that I use on the CD to help other people really get in touch with the strength and the power of their voice. So those are the things that you need to know about voice. Verbal skills, now back to the whole pitching thing. Like I said, identify your bottom line. Use analogies that help paint the picture. Use numbers and detailed examples. Not saying that logical stuff isn't important. What you'll see on your handout on the next page are a list of reasons why people buy. What's in it for me? That's what they care about. What's in it for me? These are the reasons why people engage and why people buy or do business with you. Go through those reasons when you're alone. What are the reasons my people buy? Then you find your bottom line of how you can meet and talk about that need that you're fulfilling. Because they're emotional needs. People will buy for emotional reasons first. I think that's slides are out of order. But yes, use numbers to limit habitual non-words, repeat bottom line. What's a non-word? Non-word, you know, I do financial training for financial advisors where I go in and they try to teach me, tell me something, and then I give them feedback. I had a guy that used and okay every other word. I can't listen to him anymore. I couldn't. Fourth B, value. What is your value? The next page is a list of positive adjectives. A list of positive adjectives. Because unless you know what your value is, you can't sell it. Now, this list is good in a lot of ways. One of the ways that it's good for is to really come up with, what are the 3 adjectives that describe you and your business? What are they? How do you put them into the way you dress, into the way that the words that you choose for your pitch, the things that you choose to say about your product? What are those 3 values that you bring? V for value, that's what we care about. And why should they choose you over the competitors? How are you going to improve their lives or their bottom line? Well, the other thing that list is good for is a great subliminal mantra for you. You know, people were talking about subliminal stuff and behavioral stuff. This, if you just repeat that on a daily basis before an interview, before a pitch, all those positive words just come into you and go out of you when you see somebody else. It's a wonderful thing. How are you going to improve their lives or their bottom line? What values do you bring? What implicit need do you fill? Those are the questions that you want to ask when you're crafting your pitch. What values do you bring? And when it's one-on-one, it's really important to find out whether there's somebody who should be talking to you. Why waste their time if your product does not meet any need that they have? And how do you find that out? Ask them questions. Ask them questions. What's in it for them? People make decisions like this. The rational reasons are important. What emotional need does your product or service fill? That was an exercise, but we're not doing that. People may forget what you say, but they will never forget how you make them feel. Logical appeals are very important, though. You know, everything is emotional, yes, but facts that can be proven you want to talk about. Specific evidence or information, use numbers whenever possible. Logical analysis of facts, reasons, and examples. Those are the things that you have to add to your pitch. I was at a virtual, you know, I trained people into their, to get money, you know, all of those things. And people, they want to know, how much do you want? What are you going to do with that money? They do want to know that. They want to like you, but they also want to know those things. So be prepared and be specific. Give them details. Here's my 6 parts of a perfect pitch, and then engage them. Engaging them, and that's in your sheet. Engaging them means ask them a question before you start. Give a quote or a statistical fact. This is, the other one is tell them a story. Paint a picture of a story of something that's like, oh, that's engaging. Do not start a presentation or an elevator pitch or any kind of pitch with, I'm going to talk to you about my product. Of course that's what you're going to do. And it's boring as heck. People need a moment to get emotionally involved with what it is that you're doing before they can say, oh, okay, what? Get them in the room. They're not in the room until you've engaged them. Telling them that what you're going to talk about does not engage them. Telling them a story will engage them. Asking them a question will engage them. Giving them a startling fact will engage them, or a quotation. Inform them. Tell them what it is that you do. Then you go, after you've engaged them, tell them what it is that you're going to do. Engagement is first. All the other things can be switched in order. Inform them. Tell them what it is that you do. Assure them. That's your credibility. Why are you doing this? How long have you been doing it? Who are some of your clients? What are some of the things? If you have none of that, give me a reason of why you're in that business. What is your passion? What brought you to that? That all lends to your credibility. And people like to be credible. That's for sure. And then you want to seduce them. That's when you tell them what's in it for them, how their lives are going to be better, how everything is going to be, how you're going to answer their need, how you're going to answer their desires, make their lives better. Then that's the seduction. And then you want to invite them. What do you want them to do for you? What can they do for you? What should they do for you? What's the next step? How can I keep in touch? What is all this? And of course, listen, listen, listen. So many times we have this thing of like, okay, here's my pitch. Blah, 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 blah. You've not made eye contact. You've not figured out that that person is not interested in anything that you have to say. Listen to them with your eyes and with your ears. And those are your tips. Engage them emotionally, get to the point. Next slide. Okay. Sorry.
Oh,
Another
I'm sorry to
presentation.
interrupt. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me be done. And so that is my shortened presentation. And we are what we exactly do. So practice, practice, practice. And I have the CDs. I have a lot of information, cards, and the newsletter down back at that back table where my lovely friend Beth is there. So you can gather stuff there, and I really hope that this is helpful, and I hope to hear from all of you soon. And please put in your business card, and at the end of Moms in the City, I'll draw one, and someone will get a CD. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.